The first thing I'm going to show you is Angkor Wat and where it is on the Cambodia map, on the world map at that. If I put my design over the full earth with this true shape, the code that I have will land geometrically precise, like braces on a teeth or a grill that you get put on a teeth, molded to fit and cast it perfectly over it. That's what I'm doing with the superimpose. So Angkor Wat is in Cambodia, as you can see here. And all I'm doing here now is just showing where it's at on the world map. Cambodia is near China. It's in the Eastern Hemisphere. So that's where Cambodia is, okay? And another one. I do want to note that with this one, there's a tilt with the camera angle. It's not a directly on top picture. Even mine is not directly on top either. It's not perfectly aligned. You can see that proven by looking at the lines that I drew the design based off of and how they tilt downward towards the right side. If you look at the grid lines that I built my work off of, from the left side to the right side is tilted downward. So there's a lot of imperfection as far as the grid itself that I'm placing this on top of. It'll do much better, honestly, if I got a straight on top of picture of Mount Hera Temple and use my software. Or not my software, but my design, the beginning phases of my software that I'm to make. Because that's what it is. All it has to do is be merged with Google Maps, and then you can see every single monument like you see here that's aligned with this grid. When you zoom out and the whole earth is, instead of this picture being put right here, if you put the whole earth in the background based on the North Pole in the center, then at that point you would be able to look at put a dot on every single monument like right here in Angkor Wat and the Nazca lines, and be able to see where they are in conjunction with this grid. The water is green with that 8. That's the funny thing I said before I started recording. Look at the number 7 as well. The center of it. Look at the square that it makes at 7. If this was a directly on top picture, that square would land right there based on my knowledge of angles and drawing and things like that, shifting. It would land right on top of the 7 perfectly to make a square. If you look at 2, 7 and then 7, 2 on my work, it makes a perfect square, and that's what I'm referring to. So look at the number 7. at the top right and look at the center of it. And in that and on that number 7, look at the numbers 2 and 7 and 2 and 7 on that. When you see that, you'll see that there's a square right there, because I can't point at any of these things, but you'll see that there's a square right there. And the architectural monument right there, if you pay attention to that, also has a square. Did I move it? No, I didn't. When you look at the 0 through 9, I do want to let it be known that the interior is what matters as far as what I am showing. The exterior is the same count. There is no count change. It's the same number count. And that's actually dealing with my mother herb diagram that I drew as far as its geometry. The center path is literally a square of its own. The Mothera temple is in India, and in the past I've shown videos as well where there are tourists a tourist from India literally noted that that odd numbers are highly revered in India, which is the numbers 1, 3, 5, and 7, and 9, of course, out of the first 10 numbers. They highly revere those numbers, and that center path in my work is literally those numbers. Without seeing a visual of what I'm talking about, it would be hard for somebody who is not consistent around me to know what I'm talking about. But what I do want to say, what I realize here, you know what the number 8 is. And when you look at that number 7, right there, there's a tower that's also conjuncted with it. And it looks like a number 8. Look at that stone monument and it looks like a number 8, if you comprehend what I'm saying. It's almost like a code. The Great Pyramids is the biggest mystery. I know it got something to deal with it, but I still ain't figured it out. I don't know where it's placed at, where it's supposed to go. I still can't figure that out. That's what let me know that they was the most meticulous, the highest, some of the highest smarts. What I also want to let be known is that down there at the bottom, where you see the stairs at, you see the green water, correct? You see stairs that surround the perimeter in the interior, where that green water is at, right? You have 28 staircases, because that's what those are. Those are 28 staircases. Well, when you count my work, you count 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 at the top. That's 10. And then you have 1 and 0 and 9 and 8, and that makes 14 squares. So if you have a mirror on the bottom, 14 plus 14 equals 28. So you literally have 28 numbers within my work. Well, not 28. Well, yeah, 28. I'll say 28 squares. That's how I'm going to put that. Okay. Without that X in the center, I know that you'll look at it like those numbers are counted again, but this is not what's going on. This all deals with bifurcation. And that X in the center is the key. Without that X in the center, I would not be able to line any of this work up fractally with the Nazca lines and show anchor watt I mean, 0 and 9, 0 and 9, that's right there in the center, wouldn't even be there. The four corners wouldn't even be able to be there because you don't have a center anymore to create those four corners fractally. So it's definitive work. All you have to do is be educated enough to know what's going on and take it serious enough to know that this is real history being made, not somebody sitting up just talking. He's proven everything he's proven, and math is something that you cannot debate or debunk. Not math, but numbers. Because math can be debunked. Numbers, the number 0 is always going to be 0 everywhere in the universe you go. 0 will always be 0. 1 will always be 1. 2 will always be 2, and it goes on. That's something that never changes. When you're dealing with something this concrete that cannot be debunked, I'm not trying to hear anything from anybody, man. Negative. Constructive criticism. How much can you really give when you're sitting up here seeing a mirror image of everything? He's lining up and showing everything he's proven. What is the argument? He's showing and proving everything that he's doing. Now, what I'm recording right here is something called the Mandelbrot set. The Mandelbrot set is a computerized fractal, a computer-generated fractal. Literally, what you see right here is a superimpose over the Mothera temple. What I see here is amazing, to be honest. Look at how it's making a rectangle. Now also look at the circle that's in the very center, the second circle. Do you see what it's circling around? All I gotta do is and it's literally a perfect outline, man. This is a perfect, like you can't, and then the photo is what's going on here? Do y'all not comprehend what I'm showing? Who else is showing? What type of mind? What in the world? Goodness. I need you to pay attention to how it begins at the bottom perfectly, nearly, and at the end, I can almost say perfect. And at the end, it ends exactly at the end. The circle around the middle part that's my work is literally a perfect circle around it. Like a compass circling a square. My work is the square, and literally this work is that of the compasses. The Mandelbrot set is of spirals. There are no squares in the Mandelbrot set. You will not find one square in the Mandelbrot set. And you won't find one curve in the Corey set. This is amazing, man. And if anything, when I just superimpose my work over this, it really helps me, because if my work literally is showing a congruency with this, and I've literally said that my work has to deal with the Mandelbrot set, the great architect of the universe. They both have an underlying bifurcation diagram. There is a bridge that's being connected between the two. They are dealing with the same thing. Therefore, when I say that they have something to do with each other, this is factual. The key is finding out what they have to do specifically with each other. My work and the Mandelbrot set. And just because it hasn't been fully defined does not mean that there is nothing to be defined.
10 to the 9th meters, 10 to the 8th, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We are back at our starting point. We slow up at 1 meter.